All right, we're starting the introduction to the study of the book of Psalms. Very excited about this. We'll see how long John MacArthur is. It's Old Testament, so Cindy, if you want to start that.
Okay. Like I always do, I read it and then I highlight areas to share. So the entire thing isn't being shared, just different areas. The entire collection of Psalms is entitled Praises in Hebrew text. Later, rabbis often designated it the Book of Praises. The Greek translation of the Old Testament labeled it Psalms and then referenced it the Book of Psalms in the New Testament. The Greek verb form from which the noun Psalms comes basically denotes the plucking or twanging of strings, so that an association with musical accompaniment is implied. The Psalms constituted Israel's ancient God-breathed hymn book. Reference 2 Timothy 3:16, which defined the proper spirit and content of worship. There are 116 psalms that have superscriptions or titles. The titles convey various kinds of information, such as authorship, dedication, historical occasion, liturgical assignment to a worship director, liturgical instructions, what kind of song it is, whether it is to have a musical accompaniment, and what tone to use, plus other technical instructions of uncertain meaning due to their great equity. One tiny attached Hebrew proposition shows up in the majority of the psalm titles.
What does that say
It may
again?
convey, pardon me?
Can you start that line again?
One very tiny attached Hebrew preposition shows up in the majority of the psalm titles. It may convey different relationships, such as of, from, by, to, for, in reference to, or about. The preposition most frequently indicates the authorship of a psalm, whether of David, the accompanied psalmist of Israel, or by Moses, Solomon, Asaph, or the sons of Korah. King David wrote at least 73 of the 150 Psalms. The sons of Korah accounted for 10. Asaph contributed 12.
Okay, David, possibly 73.
Yes.
They wrote 73.
The sons of Korah, Korah, accounted for 10 of them.
And then SSAS.
Asaph contributed 12.
And there were a total of how many?
There's 150 Psalms, but this is just how it's breaking it down right now.
Yeah.
And it says other penmen included Solomon, Moses, Heman, and Ethan. The remaining 50 Psalms.
Okay, hold on a minute. Moses, Solomon. Who else?
Heman, Heman,
Uh-huh.
and Ethan, Ethan.
Thank you.
The remaining 50 Psalms remain anonymous in their authorship, although Ezra is thought to be the author of some. The time range of the psalm extends from Moses, 1410 BC, he wrote Psalm 90, to the late 6th or early 5th century BC, the post-exile period, reference Psalm 126, which spans about 900 years of Jewish history.
I wonder that big map that we put up at church in the hallway there, I wonder if it shows anything with the Psalms on it to show like, it's like a genealogy thing. Like it shows like Adam lived until 50 years before Noah was born. So it's like got these, it shows how like the generations overlapped. I wonder if the Psalms is on there anywhere. Or if these are just collected over a long period of time and put together into one place.
Well, it does show that it has a very long history with 900 years
Yeah.
of penmanship or penning them.
So
But
he said 900 years of penmanship.
yes,
Okay, thank you.
and covers 900 years of Jewish history. The backdrop for the Psalms is twofold. One, the acts of God in creation and history. And two, the history of Israel. Thematically, the Psalms cover a wide spectrum of topics, ranging from heavenly worship to earthly war. The collected Psalms comprise the largest book in the Bible and the most frequently quoted Old Testament book in the New Testament. Psalm 119 is the largest chapter in the entire Bible.
Ooh.
The basic theme of Psalms is living real life in the real world, where two dimensions operate simultaneously. One, a horizontal or temporal reality, and two, a vertical or transcendent reality. All cycles of human troubles and triumphs provide occasions for expressing human complaints, confidence, prayers, or praise to Israel's sovereign Lord. The sinfulness of man is documented concretely, not only through the behavioral patterns of the wicked, but also by the periodic stumblings of the believers. The sovereignty of God is everywhere. Life often seems to be out of control, and yet all events and situations are understood in the light of divine providence as being right on course according to God's timetable. Assuring glimpses of a future, quotes, God's day, bolsters the call for perseverance to the end. A commonly misunderstood phenomenon in Psalms is the association that often develops between the, quotes, one, the psalmist, and the, quotes, many theocratic people. Virtually all of the cases of this occur in the Psalms of King David. There was an inseparable relationship between the mediatorial ruler and his people. As life went for the king, so it went for the people. As God's mediatorial representative on earth, David prayed for judgment on his enemies, since these enemies were not only hurting him, but were primarily hurting God's people. Ultimately, they challenged the King of Kings, the God of Israel. It is helpful to recognize certain recurring genres or literary types in the Psalter. Some of the most obvious are 1. The wisdom kind with instructions for right living. 2. Lamentation patterns, which deal with the pangs of life. 3. Penitential psalms, mostly dealing with the enemy from within, that is sin. 4. Kingship emphasis, universal or mediatorial, theocratic and or messianic rule. And 5. Thanksgiving psalms, a combination of style and subject matter helps to identify such types when they appear. The comprehensive literary characteristic of the Psalms is that all of them are poetry par excellence. Unlike most English poetry, which is based on rhyme and meter, Hebrew poetry is essentially characterized by logical parallelisms.
Oh, could you repeat that for me? So Psalms is which one?
It's poetry, and it is characterized by logical parallelisms.
It is characterized by
Logical
logical.
parallelism.
Could you spell
Some of them, yeah, Parallelisms.
And it said something about the Hebrew, like one is like poetic and the other one is this. What was it saying about that?
Yeah, English is based on rhyme and meter,
Okay.
where Hebrew poetry is characterized by logical parallelisms.
Okay, so Hebrew poetry. English is rhyme and meter.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The most important kinds of parallelisms are 1. Synonymous. The thought of the first line is restated with similar concepts in the second line. Antithetic. The thought of the second line is contrasted with the first. 3. Climatic. The second and any subsequent lines pick up a crucial word, phrase, or concept and advance it in a stair-step fashion. And 4. Chiastic or introverted. The logical units are developed in an A, B, B, A pattern.
This
This is pretty much just telling you the construct.
is that 4 different types though?
Yes.
So is it saying all of those are in this, or is it just the chiastic?
Oh, with the ABB pattern?
Yeah.
I think that's just the chiastic, I think.
Okay. Maybe he'll go on to tell us which this one generally does.
In the Hebrew text, the first letter of the first word of every verse or section begins with a different Hebrew consonant, which advances in alphabetical order
Oh my gosh.
until 22 consonants are exhausted. So this is pretty,
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't realize it was this complicated.
Yeah. I know. So I'm trying to wrap my head around it as you're reading. I'm like, okay, so which one is this one and what are they? But understanding it is going to give us more insight to what's happening as we read it.
Right. Let's see. Okay, the alphabetical order. This indicates that its particular subject matter has been covered from A to Z. So you've heard that saying, A to Z? That's
Yeah.
where it
Well,
came
in
from.
Revelation, it talks about he's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end.
And so the construct, the literary pattern, so to speak, of the Psalms has a particular strategic construct to it. And that means from A to Z. I get, is that where that saying came from?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think like if so is he saying that there's 26 consonants and as they write just I was not good at this whole or like poetry thing in school. So is he saying that that each sentence begins with a Hebrew
Different
consonant
Hebrew consonant.
and that
There's
it
22
ends
of them.
22
Mm-hmm.
and then each is he saying each section would cover all 22 which would mean it totally covers that subject.
The subject matter is covered from A to Z in that particular pattern. My
Wow,
gosh.
that's really
I
deep.
mean, can you think of a message you want to say or a lamentation like David did all through it? But now you have to write it like this. I
We may
think
have to
I'd be
review
like,
this
forget it.
again.
Well, mine says that about people are able to remember things far too readily than what we are today. So remember, they didn't have all these
True, because
distractions.
they would have handed it down verbally where and that would have gave them something to like, to help memorize too. If you knew that there was this pattern, well, the next one would be this consonant. Now, what was that word? Because like the monks in the word's not coming to, I want to say conservatory, but it's not conservatory, but the monks
Monastery.
Monastery, thank you.
You're
They
welcome.
would do the Psalms back and forth out of memorized.
So I kind of barely grasp what
Yeah.
Cindy's reading, but can I ask that those of you who are fully wrapping your head around that, as we read through, like, can you point out an example of, oh, this is happening. This is what Cindy was describing in her reading right here, because this is A, this is B. So when we actually get into it, can you explain that better to me?
We don't know Hebrew consonants.
Oh, so it's not as we're reading it that we'll see that. This is all Hebrew she's referring to.
They're saying that the construct of the Psalms
Okay.
that's what they're doing, but I don't know that I fully wrapped my head around it yet either.
So we wouldn't really be able to discern that while we're reading what she's talking about.
I don't
Well,
know.
I don't know, because when I look at like there's those parallelisms, like for instance, the antithetic, the thought of the second line is contrasted with the first. You see so let's say we're reading a psalm. Then, the first line is, I don't know.
Well, let me read one to you. Psalm 1.
Okay.
Blessed is the man. That's the first line. The next line is who walks not in the counsel of the wicked. Now, I don't know when they say line because the verses wouldn't have been there. It would have just been the lines. So the next line says, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. So the first line is, blessed is the man. Next line is who walks not in the counsel of the wicked.
Well, that might be the synonymous because the thought of the first line is restated with similar concepts in the second line. I don't know.
Well, and then it goes on, yeah, because they would have put the verse 1, verse 2, verse 3. That would not have originally been there. It would have
That's
just
true.
It would have just read.
If you go to, now this is in Worsby, and I wasn't going to get in this deep, Cindy, but since you started it, in Worsby, it talks about the thought lines. And in Psalm 24, 1-3, it's saying about that particular verse. If the second line repeats the first line in different words, as in Psalm 24, 1-3, you have a synonymous parallelism.
There you go.
So this is all like a poetry lesson, basically.
Yeah, and I hate poetry and I don't understand poetry, so I wasn't even going to go that deep, but
I don't either, but it's
it's
interesting how purposeful this
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
which I don't even know. I'm just reading a song.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, oh, it's just someone's thoughts, but there's intention behind what they're writing.
Well, what's interesting though is different people who may not have even really known each other or were in different times in their life wrote the same way. Like, was that God inspired? Did they do it on purpose? Was it just happenstance?
It would have been their language. It would have been Hebrew inspired, I would assume.
Okay, that's just the way they were taught.
I mean, I think it would be God inspired too, but that's how they talk. That was their language. So
Yeah.
that's the way it came out.
Right. That was the
Like Chrissy
construct.
said, yeah, it was all passed down verbally then. So it probably helped them to understand,
Yeah.
whereas we don't.
Well, they did it in symbols too. So that's what this says.
Interesting.
Hmm.
We are at 10:33. Cindy, are you at a spot we can stop?
Yes.
Do we want to stop and then pick back up tomorrow? We may have to like read John, read Worsby, read Tony, and then maybe go back and revisit if we need to.
Yeah.
To try to comprehend it. I don't want to rush into it and then miss something that is really important.
There's a lot of introduction because my Bible actually
Has one.
has like a whole blueprint and how it parallels books of the Bible, like sections of the Bible. So
Oh,
yeah, it's very, anyway, I think we're going to get into, I'll have a lot to cover before we even get to the first Psalm.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's amazing. That's just more that we're learning and getting a good foundation. So, all right.
Oh.
Well, this,
And
I forgot to look up. Go ahead. You guys talk. I got to look up a trivia question for you.
oh, Angie just texted.
Okay. What'd she say? Oh, should we wait till after we're done reading? Or
Yeah.
any other thoughts or anybody have anything short
Yeah.
they want to read?
Girls, just keep praying for each other, like we've been these past couple of weeks, because I could certainly feel it. I'm sure you all could.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Are you ready?
Amber's not.
I'm here.
When was the Sabbath first instituted, and by whom was it observed?
The Garden of Eden by Adam and Eve.
By God to Adam and Eve.
You guys are really close. By God after creation.
Okay.
Sabbath was first instituted, and by whom was it observed? By God after creation. Genesis 2, 2, and 3. This one has verses, the locations of the answers. Okay, well, it's really nice to be back, but this concludes the reading of God's word for today. Until tomorrow.
For sure and for certain.